Hello students. In the last class we have learned about the male reproductive system and female reproductive system in human. Today in this lesson we are going to learn about mammary glands and also about spermatogenesis in gametogenesis. Okay. So first, the mammary glands. Listen up. You know that the functional mammary glands in a human female, it is represented by a pair of breasts. Okay, and each breast, it consists of mammary lobes, okay, the glandular tissue called the lobes, and fat. So each breast it is composed of the glandular tissue and fat deposits. You got it? Now when we consider the glandular part, the glandular tissue, the glandular part of the breast, it is composed of several mammary lobes. So this is a mammary lobe, this is another mammary lobe. Okay, there are so many mammary lobes, and each mammary lobe composed of a number of very minute cellular structures called mammary alveoli. So this is an alveolus, this is another alveolus. Okay, so many alveoli form a mammary lobe, and these alveoli secretes the milk and it will be stored in the cavity of the alveoli. These alveoli, they have lumen or cavity inside and the milk is stored there. Now from each alveolus, you can see these are tiny alveoli, and from each alveolus arise a small tube, okay, very minute tubular structure, and that tubule, it is called the tubule, mammary tubule. You got it? So mammary tubule, there are a lot of mammary tubules that come out from each alveolus. And now the tubules of all the alveoli of each mammary lobe join together to form what is called a mammary duct. So there is the structural unit, they are the alveoli. From each alveoli arises a very minute tube, that is what is called the tubule, and the tubules of all the alveoli of a mammary lobe join together to form what is called a mammary duct. So I have here a diagram that is drawn. So these are the lobes. In each lobe contains the alveoli. From each alveolus arises a minute tube. Okay, this is the mammary tubule, and this is another mammary tubule. This is another tubule. All these tubules of the same lobe join together to form what is called a bigger duct. It is called the mammary duct. Okay, so you can see that here, the mammary duct. Now this is a mammary duct from one lobe, this is the mammary duct from another lobe. Okay, this is another duct, this is a duct, this is a duct. Now here in this picture it is not that clear, so here you can see, so this is the mammary duct of one lobe, this is the mammary duct of another lobe. These mammary ducts of different mammary lobes join together to form another common duct. It is called the mammary ampulla. You got it? So in each lobe there are alveoli. From each alveoli arises very minute tube called the mammary tubule. The mammary tubules of all the alveoli of each mammary lobe join together to form what is called mammary duct. Now the mammary ducts of different lobes join together to form another common duct. It is called the mammary ampulla. Now the mammary ampullae of various, okay, that comes from various lobes. So the mammary ampullae, different mammary ampullae, they join together to form another common duct that is called the lactiferous duct. And this lactiferous ducts, many lactiferous ducts open to the tip of the breast, that is onto the nipple area, and there are very minute pores on the nipple through which the milk is ejected out. Okay, so that's about the structure of the breast or the mammary gland. And you know that just at the base of the nipple there is a darker area on the breast, and that is called the areola. Got it? So the structure of mammary gland, once again, in human female, the mammary glands are represented by a pair of breasts, and each breast consists of the glandular part and fatty region. Okay, there is fat and gland, and the glandular tissue is represented by the mammary lobes. There are several mammary lobes. Each mammary lobe is composed of very minute cellular structures called mammary alveoli. This mammary alveoli secrete some milk, and they are stored in the lumen of this alveolus. Now from each alveolus arise a very minute tube. It is called the tubule, and the tubules of all the alveoli of each lobe join together to form what is called mammary duct. So mammary ducts of different mammary lobes join together to form what is called a mammary ampulla. Okay, mammary ampulla. So this is mammary duct, another mammary duct. This is what is called mammary ampulla, and many mammary ampullae join together to form what is called lactiferous duct. This lactiferous duct opens into at the tip of the breast, that is onto the nipple region, and from the nipple there are numerous pores through which the milk is ejected out. And you know that at the base of the nipple on the breast there is a dark area which is called areola. So that's about the structure of the mammary glands. Now let's go to the next topic. It is an important topic, that is gametogenesis. You have already learned about various stages of human reproduction, and they are gametogenesis, insemination, fertilization, then implantation, gestation, and parturition. Now here comes the gametogenesis. You know what is gametogenesis? Yes, the process by which the primary reproductive organs produce gametes is what is called gametogenesis. You know what are the primary reproductive organs? The testes in males and ovaries in females. Okay, so the gametogenesis is of two types. They are spermatogenesis and oogenesis. So the production of sperms by testes is called spermatogenesis, and the production of ova by ovary in female is what is called oogenesis. So you know what is gametogenesis and what are the two types of gametogenesis. Okay, now let's see what is spermatogenesis and what are the various steps in spermatogenesis. You know, the process of spermatogenesis takes place in the human testes, the male testes, and it has various steps. The first step is the phase of multiplication. The second step, it is the phase of growth. Then third one, the phase of maturation. Then after that there is spermiogenesis and spermiation. Okay, these are the various steps in the spermatogenesis in human male. Now listen up here. You have already learned about the structure of testes, and you have seen that the structural and functional units of the testes which produces the sperms are the seminiferous tubules, and we have already seen the cross section of seminiferous tubule, and you have seen there are germ cells and also Sertoli cells you have seen, okay, in the seminiferous tubule. Now first, the first stage of spermatogenesis, it is the phase of multiplication. In that stage what happens is there are primordial germ cells. See, these are the primordial germ cells in the seminiferous tubule. This is a seminiferous tubule cross section, and these are the primordial germ cells, or we can say sperm mother cells, or simply germ cells. Okay, so these germ cells undergo, what happens is they undergo repeated mitotic division. This is a primordial germ cell, and its chromosome number, it is shown as 2n, that is diploid chromosome number. What happens to this germ cell or spermatogonial cell or sperm mother cell is that it undergoes mitosis several times. So repeated mitotic division. So that is why it is called multiplication period, or the phase of multiplication. So what happens? The primordial germ cells undergo mitosis. So this is a mitosis. Again, these cells undergo mitosis. So repeatedly, these primordial germ cells undergo mitotic division to produce a large number of spermatogonial cells. So this is the first step, the phase of multiplication. Okay, the germ cells undergo mitotic division repeatedly to produce a large number of spermatogonial cells. These spermatogonial cells are produced by mitosis, so the chromosome number is still the same. They are diploid. You got it? Now, the next phase is the growth phase, or the phase of growth. So during the growth phase, what happens is some of these spermatogonial cells undergo growth. They grow to become large in size. Okay, some of the spermatogonial cells grow to become large size, and they are called primary spermatocyte. So after the repeated mitotic division, there is phase of multiplication. The spermatogonial cells increase in number. Then in the phase of growth, some of the spermatogonial cells grow in size to become bigger, and they are called primary spermatocyte. Got it? Now, next one is the phase of maturation. So up to here we have seen the primary spermatocyte. Now, during this phase, each primary spermatocyte undergo the first meiotic division. So here the phase of multiplication, the phase of growth. Now the primary spermatocyte, which is formed after the phase of growth, okay, they undergo the first meiotic division. The meiotic division occurs in two steps, the first meiotic division and second meiotic division. You know that the first meiotic division is the reduction division that reduces the chromosome number into half. You got it? So now what happens? The primary spermatocyte undergo the first meiotic division to form secondary spermatocyte, which are haploid. Okay, the chromosome number becomes reduced into half. So these daughter cells are called secondary spermatocytes. So phase of multiplication, phase of growth. After phase of growth, primary spermatocytes are formed. Now the primary spermatocyte undergo first meiotic division, which is a reduction division to produce secondary spermatocyte, where these are haploid. We got it? Now what happens? Now here up to here the first meiotic division, after that we got secondary spermatocyte. They are haploid in number. Here this is diploid, these are diploid, this is diploid, and these are haploid. Now what happens? The secondary spermatocytes will have only 23 chromosomes. As in human, it is haploid, it is 23. And each secondary spermatocyte then undergoes the second meiotic division, which is just like a mitotic division. Okay, the secondary spermatocyte now undergo the second meiotic division, so that each daughter cell produce another two daughter cells, and these are called spermatids. Okay, the secondary spermatocyte now undergoes second meiotic division to produce two haploid cells each, and these haploid cells are called spermatids. Okay, and this is the maturation period. So multiplication phase, the primordial cells undergo repeated mitotic division. Then spermatogenesis cells increase in number. Then some of them undergo growth, the growth phase, to form primary spermatocyte. Now, in the maturation phase of maturation, the primary spermatocyte undergoes first meiotic division to produce secondary spermatocytes, which are haploid in number, okay, which have haploid chromosome number. Now, in the second meiotic division, each primary spermatocyte undergo second meiotic division to produce two spermatid each. They are still haploid. Okay. Now the spermatids are formed. So from each primary spermatocyte, 4 spermatids are produced. That can be a question. From each primary spermatocyte, how many spermatids are produced? 4. This is up now. Now the next step is what is called spermatogenesis. That is, the transformation of the spermatids into sperms is called spermatogenesis. Okay, the transformation, these are spermatids. Now these spermatids get transformed into spermatozoa or sperms, and this process is what is called spermatogenesis. Now listen up. After spermatogenesis, see, from the these are the spermatocells. From there the sperms are produced. After spermatogenesis, the sperms will have their head dipped into the Sertoli cells. You know what is the function of Sertoli cells? Sertoli cells have to nourish the sperms. So after spermatogenesis, the condition of the sperm is that they have their head region dipped into the Sertoli cells for nutrition. Now what happens is, in the next stage, the sperm's head are embedded in the Sertoli cells. After spermatogenesis, they finally get released from the Sertoli cells by a process called spermiation. So the process by which the sperms get released, the head get released from the Sertoli cells, and they become independent, and that is what is called spermiation. Okay, that is what is called spermiation. So what is spermatogenesis and what is spermiation? Spermatogenesis is the transformation of spermatids into sperms, and spermiation, it is the releasing of sperms from the Sertoli cells. That is what is called spermiation. And now you need to keep one thing in mind, that the spermatogenesis starts only after puberty. Okay, in human males, the spermatogenesis starts after puberty due to the increased secretion of gonadotropin releasing hormones. Okay, the spermatogenesis starts after puberty in human male. But why you need to keep this in mind is that the oogenesis happens even in the embryonic stage of the human female. Okay, you will learn that in the later class when you learn about oogenesis. So here the spermatogenesis starts only after puberty. But in the case of a human female, the oogenesis starts even when the female is in her mother's womb, in the mother's uterus as an embryo. You got it? Or as a fetus. At that time itself, oogenesis starts. Now listen up once more. What are the steps we can see from here? First, the multiplication phase. The primordial germ cells or the spermatozoa cells undergo repeated mitotic division to produce a large number of spermatogonial cells. Still they are diploid in number. Now in the next phase, the phase of growth, some of the spermatogonial cells grow in size to form the primary spermatocyte. Now in the next maturation period, what happens is the primary spermatocyte undergoes first meiotic division to produce secondary spermatocytes, which are haploid. Now each secondary spermatocyte undergoes the second meiotic division to produce 2 spermatids each, which are haploid. Okay, so that is, from each primary spermatocyte 4 spermatids are formed. And now in the next process, what happens is the spermatids gets transformed into spermatozoa or sperms. That means from one primary spermatocyte, 4 spermatozoa or sperms are produced, and that process is called spermatogenesis. Now the sperms head are embedded in the Sertoli cells, and they get after spermatogenesis. Now they get released from the Sertoli cells, and that process is called spermiation. That process is called spermiation. Another thing you need to keep in mind is that the spermatogenesis starts after puberty. Okay, why? After puberty there will be an increased secretion of gonadotropin releasing hormones, and the male sex hormones will be more, and that causes the spermatogenesis in human male after puberty. Okay, now we can see the hormonal control of spermatogenesis. Listen up, you know that the hypothalamus controls, and it stimulates and inhibits various activities in our body. You have learned that in your class 10. Okay, the hypothalamus releases certain hormones called releasing hormones, and another inhibitory hormones called inhibitors. Okay, to stimulate a process, it produces releasing hormones. So here the spermatogenesis, we can see how the hormonal control happens there. Hypothalamus releases GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay, gonadotropin releasing hormones, and this GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormones, these are releasing hormones. They act upon the anterior lobe of pituitary. So what happens? The anterior lobe of pituitary releases two hormones, tropic hormones. They are LH and FSH. LH is the luteinizing hormone, and FSH is the follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, now what happens? This luteinizing hormone acts upon Leydig cells, and which produce androgen. You know what are Leydig cells? Okay, the interstitial cells, okay, in between the seminiferous tubules, and they produce androgens. You know the androgen mainly the testosterone in male. Okay, so LH act upon or the stimulates Leydig cells to produce androgen. Now what happens? These androgens act on seminiferous tubules and stimulate them to produce the sperms. Okay, so these androgens, testosterones, act on seminiferous tubules to produce the sperms. Now what about this FSH? This FSH act on Sertoli cells. It stimulates the Sertoli cells for nutrition of the sperms. You got it? So this is the hormonal control. Hypothalamus produces gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin releasing hormone acts on the anterior lobe of pituitary. The anterior lobe of pituitary gets stimulated and releases LH and FSH. They are tropic hormones. LH act on Leydig cells and to stimulate them to produce androgens. These androgens act upon seminiferous tubules which produce the sperms, and FSH act upon Sertoli cells and help for the nutrition of the sperms. Okay, that's all about what is called spermatogenesis and the hormonal control. I hope you all understood the concept of spermatogenesis and the hormonal control of spermatogenesis. Got it? Okay, the steps are here for spermatogenesis. First, the multiplication phase. The primordial germs undergo mitotic division repeatedly to produce a large number of spermatogonial cells. Now some of the spermatogonials undergo growth, okay, to become bigger primary spermatocyte. There is a growth phase. Now next, the primary spermatocyte, each primary spermatocyte undergoes first meiotic division to produce secondary spermatocyte, which are haploid. Now each secondary spermatocyte undergoes second meiotic division to produce spermatids, which are haploid. Now each spermatids get transformed into a functional sperm, that is called spermiogenesis. Now when after spermiogenesis, the sperm's head are embedded in the Sertoli cells for nutrition. Now they get released from the Sertoli cells, and that process is called spermiation. Okay, then also you need to keep in mind The spermatogenesis in a human male starts only after puberty. Okay, why we give stress to that? In gametogenesis in female starts even when the human female is in the mother's womb or in the uterus as a fetus. Okay, in the fetal stage itself the gametogenesis starts. Then we have discussed about the hormonal control. You got it? So I hope you all understood about the concepts very well, and you all have a great day. Thank you.